call a spade a spade. So I came across this video. It's out there and trending, and it's good that we watch it first.
Just listen to some of the appalling waste we have already identified. $22 billion from HHS to provide free housing and cars for illegal aliens. $45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma. $40 million to improve the social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of.
Since his second presidency, Donald Trump has severely been cracking down on U.S. foreign expenditure, especially in aid, and particularly the USAID. This has caused a storm across the world from the countries that were beneficiaries of the same, and has earned the man considerable hate from these countries, especially in Africa. And the man, first of all, is just living up to his America First policy, which is putting the American people first, American interest first, American priorities first, which is actually the right thing for any leader, right? And Donald Trump, being the veritable conservative that he is, he has had all the reasons to cut this funding, especially where it is used to fund extremist groups like terrorists and social radical movements and ideologies like the LGBTQ plus, right? And when it comes to the case of the list that he just mentioned, my focus is on Lesotho. Lesotho, as he mentioned, is a rarely known country. And the thing is, immediately he made that pronouncement, your Sikh medias, and you guys have to be very, very careful with the media platforms that you consume news from, where you get information from. Because a lot of these media platforms, and you better believe me in this because I'm very aware. I know what's happening. I'm very conscious. And I know what's happening. A lot of these media platforms that you see out there are absolutely rotten. Absolutely sick. The BBC, CNN, MSNBC, these medias, among other media platforms, are pro-death. They are pro-abortions. They are pro-radicalism, pro-misinformation, pro-balkanization. Yeah, it gets to a point that we have to call a spade a spade. I have been consuming news primarily from these platforms for like 1.5 years now. And I can tell you, because I see sick biasness, sick prejudice, sick reasoning. And these are the media platforms that you get in news from. So coming back to the point, immediately he made this pronouncement, your sick media platforms went writing and speaking and doing the commentary. And I just came across an article on BBC, the online news platform that they have, where they just write their nonsense. And that's where I found a response that they gave to that pronouncement by Mr. Trump on Lesotho. And that's saying Mr. Trump is talking about 8 million USD being used yearly in Lesotho to promote LGBTQI plus activities. And he's saying that nobody has ever heard of Lesotho, but here are 9 things that you need to know about Lesotho. So they're disregarding the claims that he's making, and they are taking away, the weight of the assertion about the miss in the expenditure of this fund, which was meant to promote the welfare of the people, but on the contrary, instead of promoting the welfare of the people, it is being used to tear it down. This, and this is the same thing the media platforms are doing. Instead of informing the people, educating the people, empowering the people, they are tearing down the welfare of humanity like insane hyenas on carcass. They are tearing it down like insane hyenas on a carcass. It's just crazy. You see? So they were saying, here are 9 things that you need to know about Lesotho that President Trump is saying nobody ever heard of. They're basically mentioning or listing the most outstanding factors, not factors, but facts about this country. And 2 of them are outrightly shocking. Lesotho has is one of the countries with the highest rates of suicide in the world. It is actually number 1 country with the highest rate of suicide in the world. It is said that 88 people out of 100,000 people commit suicide in Lesotho. Out of a population of 100,000 people, 88 of them, which is actually more than double the second country. The second country is at 40 people per 100,000 population. Lesotho is at 88. It is number 1 by far. It is leading by far the rate of suicide. All right? And I'm just wondering, does the rate of suicide have something to do with this Sikh culture, this Sikh, ideologies that they're pushing and promoting in that country? Okay? Lesotho also has one of the highest rates of HIV infection in the world. It is said actually that 1 out of 5 adults in Lesotho is living with HIV AIDS, is HIV positive. 1 in 5 adults. Okay? Thing is, and you guys know what it is, because a lot of you are informed and you're educated and you come across the news and you know what is true from what is not. I mean, we've always been talking about, or the conscious minds really know that there's a link between homosexuality and HIV infection, or STIs in general, not just HIV, but HIV just happens to be one of them. And when we talk about these people having been pushing, the activities of homosexuality in that country, and we're talking about that country having 1 out of 5 adults living with HIV, do you find a link in the same? Because this has happened to many other countries as well. We'll be talking about people being given, the how do you call them? The condoms, or this items for protection that are already infected. So it looks like it's a deliberate scheme to infect the people under the disguise of protecting the same people. This has also been happening in South Africa, okay, and some other countries within Africa. So you can try to find the link in the 2, but the fact is, why would someone want to push homosexuality and radical ideologies in a sick society? A society that has 1 out of 5 adults living with HIV, a country with the highest rate of suicide. This is the dying society, and you are radicalizing the same. Who does that? And that's what I'm saying. There must be a link. There must be a link between these 2 activities. Okay? So, without saying much, I want you guys to understand that the world is waking up, and there's a real, sense of consciousness rising among the people, and the people are waking up and they're seeing these things. In fact, it is good that Trump is cutting the USAID. It's been proven that this AID or these funds have been used to promote radicalization, extremism. It's financing terrorists across the world, pushing these radical social ideologies. Absolute death. So it is good that for once we have an unwavering president at the helm of things in the USA. This guy could be radical. He could be extreme in reasoning and judgment and policy making and whatever. But in this particular case, I don't just stand with him. I fall with him too. Y'all can say whatever you want to say because at the end of the day, it's just a matter of opinion. But sometimes we ought to be rational. We ought to be sensible. We ought to be honest. We ought to be logical. We ought to be human. And Trump on this one, tick. That's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to share, follow, and subscribe.